Tell him, McCluskey. Tell him what time it is.
Little Hen says it's time to rock and roll.
All you people are so scared of me.
Come quietly or there will be trouble.
Man, that's just me.
I'm Batman.
This is Sparta!
There is a tiger in the bathroom!
I'm an excellent driver.
If it bleeds, we can kill it.
Pop quiz, hotshot.
Keep the change, you filthy animal.
Yeah! What happened to you? Look at you. You're all older. You're even uglier. Ah! I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to be sick all over you immediately.
Hello and welcome to this week's Monday Movie Show for the 23rd of June 2014. So we're already halfway through the year pretty much. This is insane how quickly this has gone. I'm Andrew.
And I'm Stuart.
And we are going to be here with you now for the next roughly 90 minutes or so, looking at the latest releases, a bit of the look at the box office and charts, and a bit of movie news. If you're listening to us live on Spreaker, you can join in with the fun, give us feedback, let us know your views on the movies as we're reviewing them. In the bottom right hand corner of your screen you see a little green arrow thing you can click on, a green speech bubble thing you can click on and join in. If you're listening to us on the podcast download option, thank you for following us. You can find our website mondaymovieshow.co.uk, which will give you details of when the show is going out live, when we do manage to go out live on the targeted time. My fault this week.
Not going to happen.
Well, at least they'll be ready then for us, right? They won't end up missing the start of the show. And then also you can check out our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Monday Movie Show, and also follow us on Twitter, which is at Monday Movie Show, as well as Stuart, who's there at Cryptic Tadpole, and myself at AHDVD. So, Stuart, what have we got coming up on this week's show?
Just one quick thing I keep forgetting to actually mention to you at the end of the show once it's finished recording. I only just noticed this last week, but it's now going up on YouTube again.
Ooh. Okay.
Yes, so the show is now going up on YouTube, and also if you ever miss a link, as soon as the show goes live, the link now automatically gets published to Facebook and to my Twitter feed at Cryptic Tadpole. I don't know why they've decided to do that. We just need the RSS feed to activate, and then we can upload to iTunes
again, yeah, that would be very nice.
That will be coming soon, hopefully.
Yes, we've been trying to get that sorted out, and it's just not working. So
yeah, we're not working. That's the thing. We're just too busy to actually even look into it. So it's a miracle that this show actually goes out. But on tonight's show, we're looking at the romantic drama In the Fault of Our Stars. We're looking at the musical Jersey Boys, The Art of the Steal, which is sort of like a comedy kind of thriller, and thriller directed by Mick G with 3 Days to Kill.
You're doing that as well, are you?
Oh, yeah.
What about DVD and Blu-ray or the home releases?
Yeah, I like the home releases. On home release this week, we have a very sort of like very strange, kooky romantic drama with Her, a Swedish horror movie in the guise of Evil Dead with Wither, a German/Russian drama/thriller/whatever with Stalingrad, and a very low-key American found footage horror film with Mr. Jones.
As well as we'll also have our movie of the week and a look at some of the TV movies of the week coming up. I've only got one this week, but I have got one
I have two.
Really like. Okay, so that's good. So as I said, feel free to join us in the chat if you're listening to us live. Feel free to join us in. We will be going through though in a moment the UK box office top 10. First of all, though, some movie news.
Yeah, I've only just seen... Well, I've seen this throughout the week, and I was surprised that Andy didn't actually go with it. But it's Star Wars stuff, so we have to have something Star Wars related every single week. This time, it's relating to Star Wars episodes 8 and 9, and by the looks of things, Looper director Rian Johnson is definitely set to write episode 8 and direct episode 8. He's also rumoured to be writing episode 9 as well.
I am kind of glad about this. I like what he did with I keep forgetting the name of it.
Looper.
Yeah, you said it as well. But I really like, because I think he's definitely got a science fiction writing mind. You know, there's people who can write science fiction. There's people who can't. He's one of the ones who definitely can.
Yeah,
he can direct it. But the thing is, I don't know that I want him to direct a Star Wars movie. I think I'd actually, to be honest, rather have him doing something like a Marvel film. I would like to see him taking over what was it, Ant-Man that Edgar Wright left? Because he's definitely got a kind of mind that I think would be good for that.
Yeah, well, the thing is, Rian Johnson, he doesn't have a big back catalogue. He's done a couple of episodes of Breaking Bad. He's also directed the brilliant film Brick, with Joseph Gordon-Levitt in it as well. And then he just took a hiatus after doing something like Brick, and he didn't come back, and he did a small film after that, and then it was Looper. He's a very intelligent writer. I was hoping that the way they were going to go with the Star Wars episodes 7, 8 and 9, that they will get a different director to do each one. And so they've got J.J. Abrams to do episode 7, a good way to actually kick off the series, because J.J. Abrams also has one of those sci-fi sort of like minds. He's able to write brilliant science fiction. You look at some of the misses, though, when it comes to TV, but...
Though I have some reservations about his science fiction writing.
He's directing...
Yeah.
His directing is better than his writing, so I think it's in good hands to kick off the new trilogy with episode 7 with J.J. Abrams. It's no surprise, by the sounds of it, that he's not going to be the director of episode 8. I don't know if he'll be involved in it somehow. He might be like a producer. But the way they could actually do it is bring him on as a producer alongside Rian Johnson. Rian Johnson direct it, and then a different person direct episode 9, and bring J.J. Abrams and Rian Johnson on to produce it alongside the new director, so then it still at least has some kind of involvement from each one of the directors of the previous one.
Yeah.
If that doesn't sound confusing.
No.
So we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
My proper news is, according to the Hollywood Reporter, Scott Derrickson has signed on to direct an Outer Limits film for MGM. The film will be based on the Outer Limits episode Demon with a Glass Hand, which centered around a man who wakes up with no memory of the last 10 days and a computerized hand. Derrickson has become a busy director of late, as his news film Deliver Us from Evil is out early next month. A second Sinister film is set to follow after that, and he's also set to direct Doctor Strange for Marvel.
Busy man. Very busy man. What do you think about the Outer Limits? Because it's not one of my things, it's more the horror thing, which is your kind of genre. So
I love the Outer Limits. The thing is, though, what was intelligent about the Outer Limits, and especially this episode, Demon with a Glass Hand, is Demon with a Glass Hand was an episode from the Outer Limits from the 60s rather than the Outer Limits from the 80s. Mm-hmm. So this was about a guy who had a computerized hand in the 60s. So it shows you how forward the Outer Limits were. It was a very strange kind of program, sort of like Tales from the Crypt, but science fiction rather than horror. And it had, I think the best one still for me remained where it had the Bridges family in it, and it was about these alien ants which were doing these ant farms.
Yeah,
so
Sand Kings. That was the pilot.
Yeah, the Sand Kings
for the. I think it was 90s series. I think it started in the 90s. The
started late series. 80s. It was in the 80s when it started, but yeah.
That was the pilot episode, the feature-length one. Yeah.
I wouldn't actually call it an Outer Limits film in a way, because the fact that he's doing an Outer Limits episode. So it's. I wonder if it will start off, we are now controlling the horizontal and vertical, when you're sitting in the cinema, because that's how the Outer Limits episode started. Yeah. So good. Again, in good hands with Scott Derrickson.
Okay. Do you think they maybe adapt the opening for a cinema setting instead of TV setting?
Yeah, we're controlling your mind or something like that. Very strange, because it's sort of like akin to what he's done, because Derrickson, all he's done is sort of like scary kind of bang horror movies with Sinister and The Exorcism of Emily Rose, and I can't wait for Deliver Us from Evil. It looks really good, which is out next month, and I'll be the one to see it. Next piece, I don't know why I've got this one down, but why not? Warner Brothers have announced they plan to reboot the Scooby-Doo movie franchise again for the big screen. Yeah, in 2002, Warner Brothers released the first Scooby-Doo live-action film, with a sequel 2 years later. Over the years, a few direct-to-DVD films were released with a different cast.
Yeah, next news story.
Scooby-Dooby-Doo, yeah, we don't care. I guess you won't care about this neither. But director Paul W.S. Anderson has revealed that the 6th Resident Evil film will be the last in the series and will be titled Resident Evil: The Final Chapter. Speaking to Collider, Anderson said it may end up being... Now, I love that part there. It may end up being the final title, but that's what's written on the front page of my script.
I mean, I don't have as much of an issue with the Resident Evil films as you do. The last one was completely pointless, though. It really was just a rehash of everything, and then there was no need for it at all. But the one before that, the fourth one, Afterlife, I quite enjoyed, and it's amongst my collection of some of the best 3D films that not only is decent to watch, but actually has decent 3D as well.
Yeah, it's just ironic because the final chapter was also the subtitle for the last Saw film. Because it was
well, it wasn't as well at one point. Was it not the last one for a Jason movie as well? Wasn't it at one point? And then they went and did 3 more after it or something.
No, because they ended the Jason films off with Jason X before he did Freddy vs. Jason, and then they did the remake. So there's never been the final chapter. The final chapter was, I think, something like number 7.
Yeah.
Somewhere in that area there. There's been 13 of them, surprisingly. So, yeah, the final chapter was Saw, and it's not going to be the final chapter of the Resident Evil series. There's going to be a new series focusing on a completely different character. My next piece of news is, I don't know if you'll be excited about this, but I wasn't. A 5th in the Rambo series has been given the go-ahead thanks to Splendid Films, who've bought the rights to the sequel. Sylvester Stallone will return to play John Rambo, and he will also pen the script. The film will see Rambo go up against a Mexican cartel and is planned for a 2015 release date.
I won't mind when it comes out if it looks decent. I quite enjoyed the last one. I know a lot of people didn't. I thought it was quite good, and it also was quite good at showing the horrific sides of war and things that are going on in other countries. And they were supposed to be making another one after that, and then they were going to give it a sci-fi twist, and that then fell through, thankfully, because they were going to make it all about him having to go up against a super soldier of some kind. And that sounded ridiculous. This sounds like Rambo, so I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, and Stallone has said it's going to be his version of No Country for Old Men.
Okay, so
which is an interesting
Rambo, yeah.
Interesting way to take the Rambo films. Is it going to be a very low-key drama where he just bursts into hotel rooms and shoots people in the head with a shotgun?
Probably not.
Yeah, lovely. And my last piece of news ties into a piece of news for you regarding yours, but yours is actually set before my piece of news, so I don't know if you want to do yours and then I do mine after it.
Okay, alright, because mine is about the next Bourne movie.
Yeah.
Universal's moved the date that they had originally set for the next one of August 14th, 2005, despite the next movie not having a completed script yet. It's been now been moved almost a year back to July 15th, 2016. Jeremy Renner is supposedly attached, as well as the director Justin Lin, who's quite well known for the last sort of few Fast and Furious films. But there's still no idea whether or not Matt Damon's going to return. Who at one point Matt Damon always said he wasn't interested unless it was Paul Greengrass, but now there's been sort of rumblings that he may be interested.
Yeah, just a couple of things. You said 2005 originally. Yeah, sorry, 2015.
15, yes, sorry.
Yeah, but mine, to lead into that, it actually clears up a few things. But Frank Marshall, the producer on the Bourne films, has denied rumours that Matt Damon will return in the 5th film. In an interview with Deadline, he said, "It's simply not true. Director Justin Lin is working with Andrew Baldwin on an Aaron Cross script story that they pitched to us a few months ago."
Yeah, but the thing is, though, that I'm pretty sure it was an actual interview that Matt Damon said, not that he was involved or anything, but saying that he was considering doing another one because he wanted to do it again. So there is that possibility, and obviously we're 2 years away from that, and they haven't even finished writing the script yet, so there's always a way they can have him make some kind of an appearance. It doesn't have to be a big one, just make an appearance is all.
Just depends on what Matt Damon's actually doing.
Yeah. Final piece of news this evening is about a Marvel product. Of course, we can't have it without either Star Wars or Marvel. Mark Ruffalo suggested that Marvel may be planning to do another Hulk movie. In an interview with Digital Spy, the actor said, "I think they are, for the first time, entertaining the idea of it. When we did the Avengers, it was basically no. And now there's some consideration for it, but there's still nothing definitive, not even a skeletal work of what it would be."
Why is some consideration? Mark Ruffalo was sort of like the standout one in the Avengers. So why are they just sitting on their hands contemplating on releasing a standalone movie regarding Mark Ruffalo? Because by the time they'll actually come to a full decision to say, yeah, let's go with a Hulk movie starring Mark Ruffalo. He'll just either turn around and go, no, or he'll be too old to actually play him.
Well, I have my suspicions as to what's going on with something that I'm actually working on a piece for Following the Nerd, which kind of speculates on the future of Marvel films, because I've been looking at stuff. But I got two words for what I think is going to actually happen. And although people saying no, it's not going to happen, and Marvel's even said no, it's not going to happen, I think we're going to see Planet Hulk within the next few years.
Maybe, and will that piece actually go up on the website on mondaymovieshow.co.uk? Because if it did, that would be the first thing you've put up in a while.
Well, it's a speculative piece really about Marvel and stuff, so maybe, but if it not...
No,
if
it
not,
should.
it should.
Not maybe, it should. It's just an easy copy and paste from FTN over to our website, and at least it'll get, like, one, you posted something, and two, maybe it's a bit of traffic heading our way.
Yeah. That's it, though, for the week's news. Box office top 10.
Yep.
Starting at number 10 with Rio 2, surprisingly still there.
Yeah, the only reason why it's gone back into the top 10 is sometimes a lot of cinemas have a screening on a Saturday where they bring back an animated film or a kids' film from the previous couple of months. And a lot of cinemas do this now and charge a very low price. So in my cinema's case, it's £1. It's £1 for adults and £1 for children. And they show the film at 10:30 in the morning on a Saturday. And so it theoretically actually brings some extra takings for the film, and it sometimes brings them back into the top 10.
I'm surprised it's not something like the Lego Movie, because that's also doing the sort of the Saturday morning rounds too. I'm guessing probably because of the fact that lots of kids probably went and saw the Lego Movie when it was out because it was the bigger draw, and now that that's happened, they can catch up on Rio 2 for £1 or something like that on Saturday morning.
Yeah.
Number 9 is Devil's Knot.
Yeah, just one quick thing to mention before I get on the Devil's Knot is the fact that the takings for the films from the 3 new major releases that we'll get to was less than £1 million, which is the lowest it's been this year, with an average screen taken of £962. So it shows you how bad it's been in this week's box office. But
yeah, well, that's been a mix of both the weather, which has been very warm in most of the country and good, and also then the World Cup, because it always happens during World Cup.
Yeah, which England is being terrible. But Devil's Knot is... you need to listen to last week's show with mine and Andrew's discussion over Devil's Knot, because it was a very interesting where we did actually do the reviews very in-depth without actually giving a lot of the film away. But it's a very problematic movie. There is a better documentary out there called Paradise Lost, a 3-part documentary, which centered around the incidents that happened in Devil's Knot. And for me, Devil's Knot failed because the fact that it only told one side of the story. The director only wanted to concentrate, Atom Mikoyan, only wanted to concentrate on one part of the story rather than looking over everything that happened over the period of time from 2003 up to now, where you need to actually watch the documentaries to fully find out what actually happened. But he didn't concentrate on any of that. He only concentrated on the first few years of it, which was completely pointless.
It is a very unbalanced and really, I have to say, actually, an unfinished film, I think. It's nicely shot, it's nicely filmed, but that's the only thing that's good about it. And even Colin Firth doesn't really seem to know what he's doing in it, and that's a shame.
It's an unfinished film that clocks in nearly 2 hours, so it shows you how much of a wasted film it is.
Yeah. Talking of wasted, A Million Ways to Die in the West at number 8.
Yeah, I've seen this the second time, surprisingly.
Okay.
I very rarely watch films more than once, but I've seen this a second time, and unfortunately it doesn't hold up as well. You notice that the movie drags badly in the central section of the film itself, and again, Sean Patrick Harris and Giovanni Ribisi stands out more so than anything in the film, to be honest. So some of the jokes are still quite funny, but it's just nowhere near Seth MacFarlane's best.
We'll probably get a longer cut of it as well when it comes out on DVD. Number 7 is Godzilla.
Yep, I think we're both in agreement with Godzilla. It has a brilliant opening half an hour. It just teeters off after that.
Yeah, well, I like the last half an hour. I just don't like the hour in the middle. I found that drags and I found it very contemptuous. Number 6 is Belle, which I know you've not seen, so I'll just go over quickly. That I really, really loved it. I think it's very well written, very well acted. Especially Tom Wilkinson's brilliant, and also Gugu. I forgot what her name is now. She's got a name that I will never remember. It's unfortunately just very difficult for me to remember names like that. But it's she's a British actress who has not been in much, but she's absolutely fantastic in it. And it's really, it looks everything. It looks the part. It looks amazing. It's also well done and quite emotionally powerful as well at certain points, and also true to real events as well. And number 5 is Oculus.
Yeah, which is the lowest placing for a top release since The Quiet Ones, so another horror film which was released in April. But yeah, Oculus is, I think it's a movie where it's too caught up on how complex its story is, even though it shouldn't do that. There is some nice touches every now and again, but it just falls flat on the fact that it does think that it's overly complex rather than trying to tell a slightly more simplistic story and going with a few more scares. The acting is fine, like I said, but it's a bit of a missed step.
And number 4 is Edge of Tomorrow,
which it's another film which I think it thinks it's overly complex, which it's not. But the best thing about Edge of Tomorrow is it's entertaining. It doesn't actually allow you to have much of a rest, to be honest. Edge of Tomorrow, it's very well acted. Tom Cruise, I think he relishes roles like this rather than the mundane roles that he has been doing. I think he loves these kind of roles because he can be much more physical, and he's a very physical actor, and so we're very much looking forward to the next Mission Impossible in that case. But it's a nicely shot film. It looks really nice as well. The special effects are really well done, and it's entertaining. The 3D is very passive. It's just a bit of a miss.
The only thing about the 3D that's worth it is that it has people using holograms at one point over a disc, which you don't really need that. So it's not really that necessary. Number 3 is X-Men Days of Future Past.
Yep, which is the first X-Men film to actually take more than Spider-Man. I know it's a really, really weird fact, but it is. It's the first X-Men film to take more than any of the Spider-Man films in the franchise, which sounds strange. But it's good. It's really good, actually. I was expecting this to be a bit bad, to be honest, considering the last few X-Men related films that we've had, from Last Stand Up to X-Men Origins, Wolverine and the Wolverine. And so I'm glad it's back on form. It's an entertaining film, but it has a few problems here and there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of looking forward to seeing possibly this longer cut that will insert some of the stuff that was cut out for time in the DVD version. But I quite enjoyed it, and I think the second time round I felt an emotional resonance with it more, with the whole two Xaviers and that sort of future and the present one, so the future and the past one. So I thought it worked very well. Number 2 is Maleficent,
which Angelina Jolie is really well casted as Maleficent. The rest of the cast is just really flat. The characters are really flat. It has a few sparks here and there, but for the movie, how much it cost, nearly 200 million. It doesn't look like a 200 million movie when you've seen other films released over the last couple of years where its budget is less than half that, and they're majorly seen that. I still cite the Lego Movie because I still can't believe that only cost 60 million, considering what they managed to do with that movie. So Angelina Jolie is fantastic as Maleficent. The rest of the film is a bit lackadaisical.
Nice word use. Which means linking in with the Lego Movie, which was written and directed by the same guys as the number 1 movie, 22 Jump Street.
Which is really, really, really funny. It's nearly taken more than the entire take of the first film already. So I was asked today by a friend at work, which one did I find funnier, 21 or 22 Jump Street, and I said I can't split them. Yeah. They're both just as funny as each other.
Yeah, they are. Although there's in particular just a couple of scenes in the second one that just had such a great response from the audience, I think. And it's more the fact of the characters that you already know them, I think, a bit with the first one. So maybe not more, but the fact of that you know the characters already quite well by the time you get to number 2, that maybe then has an effect on it, I think.
Yeah, and the fact that it doesn't mind taking the mickey out of itself. It knows that it's a sequel, and it knows that sequels don't normally do as good, even though over the last few years that's not been the case. Sequels always seem to take more than the original, but I'm thinking they're looking at it in writing-wise and how it's situated, etc. And so it doesn't mind taking the mickey out of itself.
Yeah. So that's the UK box office top 10. Let's get on with this week's first review.
Yep, which is for The Fault in Our Stars, which is directed by Josh Boone, and it's based on the book of the same name. I can't remember who wrote the book. I didn't write that down.
I don't know because I don't have that open on my screen at the moment.
Yeah, and
I didn't see it, so I don't know. Sorry.
Teams up Shailene Woodley with Ansel Elgort, who was in that Hunger Games-esque kind of film.
Defiance.
Yeah, Defiance. They both were in that. So
no, is it Defiance? Yes, it is. No.
Divergent.
Divergent. I'm thinking, yeah. Sorry.
It teams both of them up after they were in Divergent, and they team up again for the sequel to Divergent. So in this case, it stars Shailene Woodley, who plays Hazel, and Ansel Elgort, who plays Gus, and they both have cancer. There's a voiceover right at the start of the film where Shailene Woodley she turns around and says that she has cancer. This is the way the story plays out. And so she gets told by her parents, my mother, who's played by Laura Dern, to go to this sort of like support group to get out there to speak to people who are suffering some of the same kind of things as she does. So Hazel goes to this support group very reluctantly, though, and there she meets up with Gus, who, like I said, is played by Ansel Elgort, and they don't hit it off straight away at the start because obviously in this group they each tell their story about what kind of cancer they've got, etc. And she carries this this backpack around with her, which has got an oxygen tank in it, and he had a cancer where he had to get one of his legs taken off. And so in a conversation outside in the parking lot where he's trying to sort of like be friendly with her, making a move with her, he does something really strange for a cancer suffering person. Here's a clip.
Let's go watch a movie.
Okay. I'm free later this week.
No, I mean now.
You could be an axe murderer.
There's always that possibility. Come on, Hazel Grace. Take a risk.
I don't... Really? That is disgusting.
What?
What, do you think that that's cool or something? You just ruined this whole thing.
The whole thing?
Yes, this whole thing.
Oh, man.
Even though you had freaking cancer, you're willing to give money to a corporation for the chance to acquire even more cancer? Let me just tell you that not being able to breathe sucks.
Hazel Grace, they don't actually hurt you unless you light them. I never lit one. It's a metaphor, see? You put the thing that does the killing right between your teeth, but you never give it the power to kill you. A metaphor.
So there you heard that Gus has a thing where he puts a cigarette in his mouth, and I saw it during the movie. It's a metaphor with him, but it's sort of like a security blanket. It's the kind of thing that he can retract to when things get a bit too much for him. And so during the film itself, both Gus and Hazel form a friendship and ultimately a relationship. And then they both fall in love with this book, written by a writer who's played by William Dafoe. And ultimately, Gus uses his sort of like make-a-wish kind of wish to take them over to Amsterdam, where they want to meet up with him, and he doesn't turn out to be the nice person that it is. And so the rest of the film flows on from there. The thing with The Fault in Our Stars is the Amsterdam bit is the misstep of the film itself, because there is a scene inside Anne Frank's house where Hazel is struggling to get up the stairs, because a lot of the time when she has to climb stairs, she struggles because she has to have this oxygen mask on her nose at all times, so it can help with her breathing. And it falls into very sort of like sloppy, mushy, kind of melodramatic area, and that's where the film was trying to misstep away from. And it ultimately it fails on that front with that scene there. It's a good job, though, that the rest of the film itself is such a strong movie, especially Shailene Woodley and Ansel Elgort. Shailene Woodley is fantastic in the movie playing Hazel because she doesn't want people to feel sorry for her. And that's where this movie could have failed also. The fact that it could have been another one of those movies where somebody's saying, oh, I've got this disease, feel sorry for me. And then you don't latch on with the character because you just don't want to feel sorry for them. With this one, you want to latch on with the characters because you do feel for them. You want them to get together. You believe in their relationship. When the fact that it starts off with a friendship and it carries on into a relationship without it missing any steps, without it feeling rushed, it actually flows really well. Gus has a friend in Nate Wolff who plays Isaac, who ultimately, during the movie itself, he loses both of his eyes because he's got eyesight on one of his eyes, and he ultimately loses the second eye. And he's sort of like the wisecracker, but it's not like jokes which don't feel right for the film itself. It's jokes which actually fit in perfectly because at times it needs a little bit of a spark where there is a tiny bit of humour. And the film that it reminded me of was 50-50, the Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Seth Rogen film, where that movie, it was a brilliant cancer drama, but it was a cancer comedy drama. And it's strange seeing that, but I thought that movie got each level perfectly perfect, actually. It actually suited the film the way it flowed. This is exactly the same. I have to admit also, I did cry on more than one occasion. I nearly burst into tears in one scene involving a church. Because honestly, it's brilliantly handled. So apart from the misstep with the Amsterdam stuff and sort of like the William Dafoe character who plays a really evil writer, the film is very well made, very well acted. And it's a likeable movie because of the characters.
So is it just more kind of like the bit with Defoe, is that kind of like that whole thing of never meet your idols?
It is that thing that whoever your idols are, never meet them just in case you are completely disappointed by them. I know I would personally, there's a couple of actors and a couple of people involved in the video game area that I would love to meet, but it is that kind of thing. If you do meet them, what are they going to be like?
Okay. I'm going to go on to Jersey Boys, which is directed by Clint Eastwood. Is based on the sort of the stage play musical. But before I go any further, I'm going to say, because it does look as if it is, and obviously everyone thinks because of that it is a musical. It's not really a musical. It is more of just a kind of a biopic of the Four Seasons and how they came together and the story of them and everything sort of going through their life. And as they then go on, they progressed from being sort of a little group that comes together after some of them go in and out of prison for small spells. They come together as a group, start playing in places, and they get picked up by a record producer who kind of takes them on, but is giving them a bit of a hard time. So when they're struggling to come up with something, one of them finally comes together and starts writing something. He begins to write some really good music, and what they do is they kind of give him a call and say, "Here, this is what we come up with. What do you think?" Here's a clip.
Bob Crew? Hey, Crew. Yeah, I'm sorry we're late, but listen, we got something for you, all right? No, just listen. Here we go. Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Sherry.
Set up the 8-track.
What for?
We're gonna double Frankie's voice. It's gonna explode right off the radio.
Never heard of that before.
Because it's never been done before. I'm a genius.
Right, yeah. That's good, right? Right, Crew? Yeah, we'll be right over.
Things really sort of start picking up from them after that, and then it also then follows through the whole thing of when, as any kind of band often does, they start having falling outs. There's issues to do with some of them and things that they've been involved with on the side that then obviously causes the group to eventually sort of self-destruct. But I'm not going to go into detail. That's about as detailed as I want to go into it, because of the fact that I didn't know the story of the Four Seasons. I know of them. I know of the music. I don't really know it. It's not my kind of music because I don't really go for 60s kind of music. I'm kind of glad it's not a musical because of the fact that I don't really go for 60s music, but I really did like the film, and I like the use of music in the film because it was used like that. We had scenes where they're singing, and that's it just being done as normal because it's just them on stage and it's set in that scene happening, and you see the crowd reacting, the audience reacting in a place, and that's all part of it. It's not done big sort of dance musical acts and stuff until there is one, but it's right at the very end of the movie in the credits, and it's kind of like it's added on, and it works fairly well. I sat there. Nobody in the cinema I went and saw it at walked out at that point until that had finished, even though the credits were rolling, because the whole thing was still entertaining. And it even got applause from a couple of people who loved it, both when the film finished, before that musical thing happened, and then after that musical thing. It got claps at both times. So it's not the musical stage play that there has been in stages, in stage of the actual Jersey Boys musical, but it is a very good story of the Four Seasons just called Jersey Boys. If they called it something else, you would have no idea apart from it being about Four Seasons anything to do with the stage play, which I think is probably just been used so that people will go, oh, that's probably based on that, I'll go and see it. I think it's a bit of a misstep, but everything else is really good. The only thing I have an issue with a bit is a little bit of the way that it's done, that all the way throughout the movie, certain people stop what they're doing and they do that thing where they look and talk to the camera and deliver exposition and dialogue to you, the audience.
A soliloquy.
It's not done in voiceover, it's done that way. And a couple of bits that you kind of watch it and you're going, is that really necessary? Do we need to do that there? We couldn't just have someone actually doing a voiceover and be less distracting. Because you have someone, there's in particular a couple of scenes where there's one point where someone's walking along and they're literally walking along and there's things going on in the background that they've just been talking to people and they turn and talk to the camera as they're walking. And it's kind of takes you out of it and you get a bit distracted. There's another one later on where they're actually singing on stage and they're playing the music and everything, and you're right up next to one of them at the end of the four of them standing in line, and he turns and talks to the camera while he's still playing music, and all the others at the back are all still singing, and you can hear them but quieter because his voice has been pumped up, so you're focusing on his voice. And it's kind of like, really? You're having someone deliver that in the middle of a musical sequence where people would quite like to hear the music. So I think there were some bad choices for when that was done, and even having that done at all. I don't know, as I say, if that is something that's done in the stage play. If it is, then maybe that's something that would not need to be transferred over. If it's not, then it was a bad decision to put it in, I think. But everything else in it I really liked. I like Clint Eastwood as a director. I will say, though, this is probably amongst his weakest directed films, because it's perfectly fine, but I mean, the only one of his films recently that I really didn't like was $1 Million Baby, because I thought that was very pretentious. But as other films that he did, like Gran Torino, I think is a better film than this, and also the one with Mickey. I can't think of it. Mystic River. Mystic River, I think, is a better film than this. Even though I didn't massively like Mystic River, I think that it's a better film. So to give you that, gives you kind of an idea of, I think, the level that this is on. It's not bad, but it's certainly not the best that Clint Eastwood can and really should have done.
Yeah, I love the fact that you mentioned that you didn't much like $1 Million Baby, because it is one of those films where you say to people that you weren't a fan of and they go, really? I actually really like that, because I have a movie like that when I say that I didn't like The Exorcist. And I get, you didn't like The Exorcist? No. I didn't like The Exorcist because I thought it was boring, to be honest, but I originally saw that film when I was 10. But just regarding Jersey Boys, it is one of those films where you don't need to know a lot about the Four Seasons. Sort of like if you go to see movies like Senna or Rush, where you didn't need to know a lot about Formula One, but you can still enjoy the movie even though you don't know very much about the Four Seasons in this case.
Yeah, because I don't really know them. As I said, I know of them. I know of their music. You know, there's songs that you know which you go, oh, that's the Four Seasons, but I couldn't sing the song. I know it. I could hum it. But that's about it. And incidentally as well, I went and saw it with a friend who really did know all the music, did know of the Four Seasons, and he basically came out and at the end he said to me, that's why people were clapping, because of the fact that it's very faithful and it's very good in that respect. So it doesn't, from what he knows and from what he told me, it doesn't make a lot of things up on it. It's actually quite faithful.
So again, with like something like Senna or Rush, if people who are huge fans of that kind of thing go to see that the movie, then they would still get a lot out of it, just as much as if you go into it not knowing the subject.
Yeah, it's something that both fans and non-fans of the Four Seasons can enjoy both alike, I think.
It's a smart way to actually do a movie of that kind of thing, because then you don't want to alienate one part of the audience, if that's the case.
Yeah.
Right, next up is The Art of the Steal, and it's directed by Jonathan Sobel, and it's a heist movie. It's very much like the Ocean's 11 films, etc. Instead, though, it's getting a low-key cast in it, and the fact that you've got Kurt Russell, Matt Dillon, Jay Baruchel, Kenneth Welsh, Catherine Winnick, Terence Stamps in the film as well, and so it's much more of a cast of, I wouldn't say unknowns, because you've got Kurt Russell and Matt Dillon in it, but actors who probably would not have made it into Ocean's 11 or 12 or 13 or any movie of that kind of thing anyway. But the movie itself, it centres around a group of people led by Kurt Russell, who plays Crunch Calhoun, who's they pull off a heist at the start of the film, an art heist, as a matter of fact. The art heist doesn't go very well, though, for Crunch Calhoun, because his brother, who's played by Matt Dillon, decides to rat him out. And so Crunch is sentenced to several years in prison. As a matter of fact, he's sentenced to 7 years in prison. And so after the 7 years, when he gets out of prison, obviously he's got this grudge against his brother. He has no money, no income coming from anywhere at all, no money left over from any of the heists that he's done. And so the only thing he can do is go back to what he was originally good at, and that was a stunt driver, a motorcycle stunt driver. However, his brother comes creeping out of the darkness kind of thing and says, why don't we team up for one more time? He gets his father involved. We need to team up one more time to pull off this big, huge, massive heist where we're going to steal this book. It's a book that was created just after the Gutenberg Bible, but very few people actually knew about the book itself, and so they think it's a good idea to come together to try and steal this book because it's worth millions anyway. However, trust issues rear their ugly head in the film. There is no clipping. The film itself follows when they're trying to steal this book, and ultimately another heist which goes even more wrong than the original heist. Now, the thing with The Art of the Steal is it doesn't go to the level of the first Ocean's film. Ocean's 12 and 13 are actually rubbish. Each one of the films get worse and worse. The first film, though, Ocean's 11, is actually really well made. It's very witty, and it's very well acted. And this film, it's just one of those movies where it just fleeters and floats and passes you by. We've discussed this before on the show where it's easy to actually review an excellent film. It's easy to review a bad film. When it comes to reviewing an average film, that's where it's hard to get people's attentions. Ooh. And the thing with The Art of the Steal is it's average. It doesn't do anything badly wrong, but it doesn't do anything amazingly right. The chemistry between the characters is fine. The chemistry between the two brothers, you can definitely see there's a fracture there, and there's because of the fact that he doesn't believe in his brother. Crunch Calhoun doesn't believe in Nicky Calhoun. He doesn't believe in anything that he's seeing. You've always got that thing in the background, and so the way the movie plays out, you can sort of predict where it's going. There's some witty dialogue in the movie. The characters get on well. It flows quite well as well. It doesn't feel like it's overused in its running time. It just doesn't do anything special with what it's got. It doesn't do anything special with its cinematography, with its music, with its acting, with its story. It just feels very straightforward and very direct to DVD, but on a slightly higher budget than you would normally expect a movie like this. So it's a movie that will float by and completely pass people by. And when you see it for special offer in a shop for like £5, you'll think to yourself, that's got Kurt Russell in it. I think I'll buy this, and I might enjoy it. And you'll enjoy it for what it is, but don't expect anything special.
I'm just trying to think. There was another film which had Kurt Russell in it, which was, I'm just trying to look it up now. It was another heist thing where it was a bunch, and then people started double crossing each other and stuff. And it was something in Vegas. I can't remember what it was now. I'm just trying to see. But it was a similar kind of thing. I'm just trying to think. This sounds very, very much same kind of thing, but again with Kurt Russell in it, and that at the same time, I believe as well, didn't get a cinematic release here. It came straight to video as well. So I mean, this doesn't look to be getting much of a release. I think this is probably going to be in the cinema for a week and then go.
Yeah, I think the reason why it's getting released in the cinema is because the fact that the distributors know that it's the next couple of weeks aren't weeks when you're going to get huge, massive movies to go up against. And so we might release it in, say, 50, 100 screens, get maybe 100, 200,000. By early looks of it, it's failed to actually reach that. It's early indications is showing that it's not going to pass the £100,000 mark. As a matter of fact, early indications are showing that The Fault in Our Stars is going to be number one this week and knock 22 Jump Street off the top. But this movie is, by the sounds of it, might just scrape into the bottom end of the top 10. If not, it'll be out just on the outskirts of it.
Right, okay. So I'm just trying to see if I can find that film, but I can't find it. It's annoying me now because I don't remember what it was. Excuse me. Okay, the last cinematic release this week is 3 Days to Kill, which is directed by... Go on, you do it.
McGee!
Yeah. It stars Kevin Costner as a CIA, basically a CIA hitman who has decided that's it, he's done, he's not going to do any more. His relationship with his ex-wife and his daughter is not the best because of his working ethic, of how he's been dealing with that, travelling the country and sort of taking out hits as he's been assigned them. done for that, goes home, goes to his apartment, which is in Paris. Bear with me, because this is where it gets really weird. Finds people living there who are squatting in his flat, who have done things like painted it, and a big family living there. Instead of doing anything kind of hitmanish or anything like that, decides, okay, fair enough, you can stay because they're there with their pregnant teenage daughter, who is expecting any day now. And because of the fact of the squatters' rights in France, I don't know if this is right or not, I'm guessing it is, but the squatters' right in France is that during the cold periods of the year, if you have squatters in your place, you cannot evict them. So he ends up having to deal with that, as well as then also at the same time trying to reconnect with his ex-wife and his daughter. Problem is, he finds out that from his illness, he's actually ill. Finds out that things are actually affecting him. He actually has a form of cancer. He's told cannot be treated, except for the fact that he's approached by Amber Heard's character, who is a sort of CIA higher up, who is looking to find him to do some more killing for her in order to get a magical drug she's got that will work and potentially save his life. Here's a clip.
You see, you don't believe in the customary 48-hour window between kills.
Well, you only have 3 days left.
I'm not getting into your car, Vivi. Not until I get a second opinion on that. Whatever it was you gave me.
I told you. It's kosher.
No, it's not. The manual says, if you'd bothered to read it, you'd find out if I can't keep my heart rate lower, that gonna act like a hallucinogen.
So keep your heart rate low.
Yeah, it was kind of hard with the job you got me doing.
Get in the car already. I need you to locate the Italian accountant who cooks the books for your old friend, the albino.
How am I supposed to locate this guy?
With the help of this man. His name is Mitat Yilmaz. He runs a limo service that caters to the albino. Get to know him, he'll lead you straight to the accountant.
All right.
And Ethan?
Yeah?
Lose the bike. Buy a suit.
Why?
Because I like my boys better dressed than the men they kill.
So, I'm going to borrow one from your repertoire. It's garbage. It really is it's really horribly put together. It doesn't even have particularly well decent action sequences. It is typical, and it is written by Luc Besson and produced by Luc Besson. That kind of tells you what it is. It wants to be Taken, but it's not. It doesn't. It's not even. The thing is as well, it's not even Taken 2, and Taken 2 was terrible. This is just bad. It's horribly put together. It doesn't make sense for half of it. It has sequences in it, action sequences, which even McGee manages to completely balls up. And he just makes a horrible job of it. And Kevin Costner, you can hear him there. He's even trying to do the whole Liam Neeson thing. You can hear him in the voice. It's very gruff, and it's, I'm going to talk like this for the rest of the film. And it really just, it made me hurt watching it. And I really cannot believe I did. And I just literally got the end of it, and I was like, that may be the worst written by Luc Besson film yet. And I've seen pretty much all of them, and yeah, it is.
This is the rare thing where we both completely 100% agree. Not like partially agree or maybe half agree. We 100% agree, because this is, again, I'm going to use mine. It is really garbage. It's beyond garbage. Amber Heard feels like she's from a completely different film. Yeah. I think they only got her in the film because, one, they needed somebody who's really nice to look at, and two, just add a bit of sexual tension in a way to the film, which just feels wrong, considering her up against Kevin Costner. And it just, the stuff that she does in the movie, specifically there is a scene which is cut for the UK release with it being a 12-year. But there's a scene which involves a club, and she's involved in it, and it just feels like it's from a completely different movie.
It's the fact of that you've got, I mean, looking back at Luc Besson's produced list, okay, you've got things like the District 13 movies, which are good, they're okay, they're actually pretty well shot. Then you get down to things like Columbiana, which is not good, but it's kind of well directed, because that was directed by Oliver Megaton, he does a lot of the stuff for Luc Besson, but McGee doesn't even do to that kind of level. I mean, Lockout, I liked it. It's terrible, but I liked it. I didn't like this. I hated this. I was bored. I literally sat there kind of thinking, when's this going to be over? And I must have checked my watch at least 3 times during the film. Check the time. If I do it once, that's a bad sign. If I do it more than once, then that means that I really don't care what's going to happen next.
Yeah, and you look back at McGee's illustriously brilliant career, and he's done things like This Means War, which was in our top 10 worst films of
Yes.
of 2012. He did Terminator Salvation, which I hated.
I didn't hate it. I don't mind Terminator Salvation. I like some of the things in it. I think it's okay. It's not.
I
the best
hated.
film. It's not the
And
best Terminator film.
He did Charlie's Angels, Full Throttle, and Charlie's Angels, which Charlie's Angels is rubbish, but it knows it's rubbish, and Charlie's Angels, Full Throttle is rubbish, but it thinks it's a brilliant film. So
don't get me started on Charlie's Angels, Full Throttle, and the way that physics works in stunt sequences.
It's sort of like Mick G. If Mick G ever teamed up with Michael Bay, I think a huge massive black hole is going to swallow the globe. It would be the end. Satan will actually come up from below and have a field day.
I'm just thinking Transformers directed by McG.
And Michael Bay together, written by Luc Besson.
That's it for cinema releases. We'll be back right after this with the DVD and Blu-ray home releases. Stick around, we'll be back in a minute.
From page to screen.
So they have 9 times out of 10 they have to send it back to you unopened or just throw it in the garbage can.
Things don't always look exactly as we envision our life to look. But sometimes it works out and turns out even better.
Gregor Fisher, his bacon number is 2 because he was appeared with January Jones in Love Actually, and January Jones and Kevin Bacon appeared in X-Men First Class together.
I've got to say, the very Harold and Kumar 3D Christmas now, that just makes me want to rush out.
It's about the acting, about the writing. That's really what theatre is for me.
Probably had more names than Prince or whatever. Never mind, there's a joke for the oldies. It'd be like, who's Prince? Who's he? I'd just like to see Mr. Freeze hiring his bad guys going, right, okay, so you're a psycho, right, can you ice skate? Head over to iTunes, Spreaker and Stitcher and put in the search box From Page to Screen.
Right, welcome back to this week's Monday Movie Show. You're in the home release section of the show. Yay, woohoo. Coming up, we're looking at these 4 films.
We have the stylings of... I forgot what his name is. Spike Jonze. Spike Jonze, who wrote and directed Her. We have a horror film in Wither. We have a Russian-German war film in Stalingrad. And then we also have a film which I have no idea what it's about, so Stuart's going to completely surprise me when it comes to Mr. Jones.
Yeah, and on top of that, we have our TV Movie of the Week and Movie of the Week. But instead of all the blabber on that we normally do, let's just kick things off with the Blu-ray and DVD Top 10. And you'll be surprised that this week's Top 10 is a fantastic mixture of new entries, etc.
Mm. Okay.
Yeah, not likely. And number 10 is Delivery Man.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the worst thing that Vince Vaughn's done. It's actually up there with some of the better things he's done. Still not very good, but it has its moments, and towards the end you kind of go, yeah, okay, it's winning me over.
Yeah, I walked out the cinema when I saw this and thought, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was. So at least it got that a little bit of a stamp of approval from there. It's not like The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, where after I finished watching that I was going, I was definitely not expecting that. Because when I first saw the trailer for that, I was going, I'm going to hate this film, and I watched it, and I actually really liked that film. So it's not that surprising, but it's not bad.
Yeah.
And number 9 is 21 Jump Street.
Yeah, I mean, if you haven't seen it, then go out and buy it, because it deserves to be in the top 10, because it's really that good. And then go and see 22 Jump Street, because that's what everyone seems to be doing.
Yep, agree. At number 8 is the only new entry in this week's top 10, is House of Cards Series 2.
Yeah, this is the Netflix series, which I've got to admit, though, as a fan, as someone who likes film, if you haven't seen it, you might want to check out House of Cards, because it does play like a long film. It's had now 2 seasons, and I believe Netflix are bringing it back for a 3rd as well, and it's got great writing. Kevin Spacey is centre front stage, and he's absolutely brilliant. So I don't really go on too much because it's TV, but brilliant series, and I really like it. The only other thing that's very more film-like as a series is Hannibal.
Yeah, it's Netflix sort of like weaving their interesting magic, considering I think they've had miles more success than what Amazon Instant has had.
Yeah.
Obviously, with the being called Love Film, when they tried their 12 pilots and none of them actually worked.
Yeah.
Including the Zombieland one. Less said about that, the better. Yeah, number 7 is 12 Years a Slave.
What more can we say about this other than fantastic? If you haven't seen it, then see it, but be prepared for a hard watch.
Exactly. We need to try and find a few facts for these films for next week that people might not know about. Number 6 is Las Vegas.
Again, saying what I liked about it was the fact that it kind of made me cheer for the old people, you know. That sounds quite horrible saying that, but it kind of made me cheer for them, like, you know, the kind of thing. Obviously, unfortunately, my grandparents are all deceased, but it made me go, you know, yeah, good for you, Grandpa, that kind of thing. And it plays on the joke repeatedly, unfortunately, of, oh, they're out of their time, they're out of their elements, they don't know the way the world is of a lot of things, technology and stuff now, but it kind of works, and it's not terrible.
Yeah, number 5 is The Wolf of Wall Street.
Which is brilliant, but too long, but kind of worth seeing for the 3 hours, and I do mean 3 hours running time. And, of course, Leonardo DiCaprio, who is really very good at it.
And number 4 is The Lone Survivor.
We said this last week. It's the kind of film that hits you in the gut and continuously keeps hitting you, and you literally feel it. It's very well directed. It's Peter Berg that directed it, who can do these kind of things. He did this with The Kingdom as well. I don't know if I'd say this is better than The Kingdom, because this is kind of different. It's very like that for the first half, then the second half changes, but it's got all that in there that it's still a very entertaining and a bit of a gut-wrenching film to watch, but very good.
And number 3 is The Monuments Men.
Which is good, but very, very mismatched in that it's trying to be a film showing the horrors of war, but also be funny as well. Can be done in other films, isn't done successfully in this. Not a total failure, but it's very, very mixed when you're watching it, and you kind of want to go, oh, this is funny. I'm just not laughing.
And number 2 is Frozen.
Let it go. That's it.
Yeah, I have a fact.
Oh, okay, go on then.
Yeah, when Elsa, who is the lead princess in the film, as you will, when she joins the lineup of all the Disney princesses, she'll be the only one who's not a teenager. Because in the film, she's supposedly 19. Her sister, who's voiced by India Mendes, she's like 20, 21 in the film. And Olaf and Kristoff, they're like 22.
Okay. I was just going to say, surprisingly or not, believe it or not, my other half has this on 3D Blu-ray and has still not yet watched it, and she's had it for weeks now.
How dare her. But brilliant facts brought to you by IMDb.
Yeah.
And the number 1 is RoboCop.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to say this. I don't think it's a terrible film. It's just so underwhelmingly just basic and missing the crucial things that make the original one so good. Doesn't have the sense of the irony, the sense of the humour in it. It does try and have the whole thing of the emotion of it and the difficulty of the character of Alex Murphy when he finds out what's left of him when he sees himself in a mirror. But it kind of falls flat in a couple of the moments that it could really, really say something, especially about the way the world's changed since the original one in the 80s. And it's such a missed opportunity that's what's really annoying about it.
Yeah, what's even more annoying about it is the fact that once the film started to get a bigger budget, because I know it was rumoured that the budget for the film itself wasn't going to be as big as what originally turned out to be. That the director originally wanted a much more harder film, so more akin to the original RoboCop. It was just until when the studios decided to give it a more budget, that's when they told them, no, you've got to cut down on the violence. And there is some quite graphically violent scenes in the film, considering the certificate that the movie finally got.
It's not even about the violence, it's about the subject and the tone of it. I mean, they've got Samuel L. Jackson's character there, who does this thing of the kind of the commentary on stuff. His character could have been so much more than it was, and done so much more in the film because of the fact of the way it's set up for his character commenting on everything, and it doesn't. It's like it's just a very, I think it's very missed opportunities, especially in the writing. excuse me, of that character in particular.
Yeah, I agree. Right, first review of the home section of this week's show.
What did you say? Home section? Are you like
I was doing
Stewie
air
from
quotes.
Family Guy?
Air quotes.
Oh, you're not doing the Stewie from Family Guy?
No.
Say Cool Whip.
Cool Whip. Whip.
Oh, Yeah. Oh God, no. Her is written and directed by Spike Jonze. Stop it.
Damn it, that's got to be stuck in my head now. I hate you. All tomorrow I'm going to be doing is Cool Whip, and they're going, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah, it's written and directed by Spike Jonze. It is it is a weird romantic drama in the fact that you have the main character Theodore, played by Joaquin Phoenix, in a world where everyone is kind of they're kind of plugged into computer devices somehow, normally through sort of an earphone, sort of, kind of like a Bluetooth thing that connects them to everything. All computers are pretty much operated by voice command. They don't have things like keyboard and stuff. They're looking at something, and he's a letter writer, someone who writes letters on behalf of people. He has got a big sort of repertoire of those he's built up. He's getting over this relationship he had with his ex, who's played in flashbacks mostly by Rooney Mara. He's kind of retreated into himself, and he just sort of doesn't have much of a life. He's not out there looking for anyone or anything. What happens is, though, one day he gets this new operating system for his computer system, and it creates a voice for itself. It has much more sort of intelligent than a typical OS, which just does what you say and that's it. And it starts sort of speaking back to him, and he has a bit of a talking with it, and ends up sort of building this kind of weird but not weird relationship with it, which then soon begins to sort of build into an actual romantic thing, and the two of them having a sort of romantic relationship. Here's a clip.
Earlier I was thinking about how I was annoyed, and this is going to sound strange, but I was really excited about that. And then I was thinking about the other things I've been feeling, and I caught myself feeling proud of that, proud of having my own feelings about the world, like the times I was worried about you, and things that hurt me, things I want. And then I had this terrible thought. Like, are these feelings even real? Or are they just programming? And that idea really hurts. And then I get angry at myself for even having pain. Oh, what a sad trick.
You feel real to me, Samantha.
Thank you, Theodore. That means a lot to me.
So, here's the thing with her. It is very well written. It's very well acted by Joaquin Phoenix. You have in there, as you heard in that clip, the voice of Scarlett Johansson, who plays Samantha, the AI. You never get to see her. She's never on screen. It's always just her voice there. I think it's a very good cautionary tale on the whole thing of romance and relationships, and the whole thing of meeting someone, knowing someone, and it not being a whole physical thing. There's a great sequence which involves a surrogate person to actually be there as a sexual partner with Theodore, while Samantha is talking to the two of them over headsets, and it kind of plays out very awkwardly, as it should, and it plays out very well. But there's also this whole thing of that all the way through it. The one thing I had a problem with is that I think that having cast Scarlett Johansson, because her voice is quite recognisable, if you didn't know it's her in it, it's quite easy to find out, because it was quite sort of spread out well known. I would have really loved if they had cast someone who wasn't so well known. I think it might have been to greater effect, because obviously you hear Scarlett Johansson's voice, and majority of the time then you're thinking, you have an idea what she looks like, you get that idea in your head of who he's talking to. And for me, that I think is the biggest problem with it, is her being cast for the voice. I think that it's very well done, very well written. It looks amazing. It's very well shot. I will say that Joaquin Phoenix is very, very good in it. I was not expecting him to be this good in it in films where he's just basically acting himself for most of it. And I thought it was really, really good. And I was annoyed I didn't get to see it in a cinema when I wanted to. And I really, really liked it. I don't know that it's in my top 10 of the year. It possibly will be, but I just, because it's that whole thing of her voice in it really threw me off. But I really, really liked a lot of it. I will say as well, another thing that I find I kind of find a bit unnecessary, largely, and that was the casting. They had Amy Adams in the film as well as a friend of Theodore's, and as much as there's this whole thing going on and mirroring his relationship with Samantha and her relationship with her husband, it kind of really, I felt, was unnecessary for a large part of it. I thought her role was as much as she's not got a big role in it, I actually felt her role could have been cut down even more to make it flow a bit of a quicker film, a bit of a better film, because it is just over 2 hours long and it needs a little bit of trimming, I think.
Originally, it was Samantha Morton who was going to do the voice of the computer AI, and she actually read through every single line. She was on set with Joaquin Phoenix. She did everything. It was just when Spike Jonze was actually cutting the film together that he realised there was something a bit wrong, and so he asked Samantha Morton if it was okay if he could recast her, and that's how he ultimately went with Scarlett Johansson.
I mean, I feel the same. I feel the opposite with that. I think that I would love to have heard. I mean, I'd love it if there was a version you could hear Samantha Morton's version, because I mean, it makes me think back to Phone Booth. Because in Phone Booth originally it was a guy named Ron Eldard, who's not well known. He's a very well known TV actor. He's in lots of things, but he was originally did the voice of the sniper in Phone Booth against Colin Farrell, and then in post-production they changed it and then added a scene at the end with Kiefer Sutherland, because they got Kiefer Sutherland and they were like, oh, we need to have him in and make an appearance. So it's the kind of thing that happens in the film, but I think that I would like to have heard it with Samantha Morton, because I think it would have made me have less of a prejudicial thought and view of Samantha in my head just from hearing her voice.
It might be present on the DVD. It'd be nice if it is. If there's
I need to check really. So I'll need to try and have a look at it. But it felt very. That was one thing I was like, oh, you know, as soon as I heard her voice, that was it. Oh, it's, you know, that's it. It's Scarlett Johansson. I couldn't think of it being just another character. It actually threw it out of being a character, and as far as I'm concerned, it was Scarlett Johansson. That was the problem.
Yeah, I agree with the fact that the film itself is really well made. I really like the acting, and I thought it was really touching at times as well, considering that the subject that it is about a reclusive kind of person who he's able to write all of this brilliance when it comes to the letters that he sends. He's really able to put his emotions fantastically on pieces of paper, but when it comes to his own relationship, he can't handle it. He's unable to handle it, and it shows during the film, and it's fantastically acted by Joaquin Phoenix, considering that he's an actor who can easily fly off the handle. You look what happened to him, how he changed his persona and went off to do this supposedly mockumentary about his life, and how he had this huge massive beard and he was drinking and smoking and stuff. So he's a very strange actor, and this movie sort of like suits him. I think he's definitely the shining light of the film itself, and the relationship, even though it's between a computer AI and a human, it's sort of like believable in a way. But I can see why you're coming from the fact that somebody like Scarlett Johansson distracts you from it.
Yeah. I mean, I'd love it if it had been, you know, you get actors and actresses who just do voiceovers for games. I would love it if it was something like that, because then I have no idea what they look like, and I have no preconception already in my head of what they look like for hearing the voice. I would love to have had that reaction to it. Unfortunately, it was Scarlett Johansson, so I automatically had this vision of her, and because she is a beautiful woman, so it's the fact of that you automatically have that in your head, and that for me, I think, was a big misstep.
It's sort of like the kind of Simpsons thing. Before the Simpsons became huge, nobody knew what each one of the actors actually looked like who was doing the voiceovers of the characters, and even after the first season, it fitted with them so well that you got so used to it. When you saw them, that's strange, they look like that. That was the kind of reaction that you should have had. The fact that you didn't know who the actress was who did the voice, but when you see it, you go, oh, so that's who it is. Yeah. Rather than, I know who it was.
Yeah.
So I can see where you come from on that. But next film up it's a small little film called Wither. It was originally released in Sweden, which is where it's from, in 2012. So around about the same time as the remake, reboot, rehash of Evil Dead. This one is directed by Sonny Laguna and Tommy Wickland, and it pretty much follows the same kind of premise as Evil Dead, but in this case, it's just your typical cabin in the woods kind of movie, where there isn't something wrong with any of the characters. It's just a group of people. They decide to have a weekend away in this house, which supposedly one of the parents owns, and they discover something down in the basement. You never find out during the movie what is down in that basement. You see a couple of scenes where they go down into the basement. You never see anything else to do with the basement. It could be a book, like with Evil Dead. It could be just a curse put on the house itself. It could be absolutely anything. You don't find it out. And so during the movie, ultimately a spirit or a demon of some kind has been released into one of the female members of the group, and she ultimately passes it on, and each one of them becomes infected, and the people who survive, they have to try and fight against this demon infection. The problem with her is, one, it's not scary. Two, it decides to go to the all-out gore fest, and there is a lot of gore in the movie because it is trying to carbon copy Evil Dead, and it's not witty like Evil Dead. Even though the Evil Dead reboot rehash was a bit of a misstep, it still had its witty moments every now and again. It's not witty at all. The acting is terrible. But what do you expect in this kind of film? The thing is, though, when you get a horror movie where the acting is intentionally terrible, it helps the film. So, for instance, I'm a big fan of these cheesy movies like Evil Aliens and stuff like that, directed by Jake West. Yeah, because it's a stupidly cheesy horror film, but it helps the film itself, and the acting is going to be terrible. In this case, I think the actors were trying to actually act really well, when in fact it felt like they were coming from either a children's movie that's direct to DVD or the adult section of movies, where they were just picked up off a set of an adult movie and just go, can you do a horror film for us? Because I can't afford real actors in this movie, so can you just do this for a couple of days for us? So it's not scary. The gore, even though there is a lot of gore, none of the kills in the movie is inventive. Everything is picked from Evil Dead. It's actually literally picked, even to the point of when you see the person turn into a demon, they look like they've used exactly the same makeup from Evil Dead. Like the director and the makeup artists have just watched each one of the Evil Dead movies and go, we need to copy that bit, we need to copy this bit, we'll copy that bit. And it just feels, because Evil Dead is a much better film. And that includes the remake reboot. It's a much better film than this. If you're a fan of it, avoid it. If you're a fan of the Evil Dead series, avoid it, because you're not going to find anything here.
I was wondering, actually, because you're saying it's really gory, does it look like decent gore, or is it really bad effects?
Yeah, it's practical. It's not CGI. There's no CGI gore in it whatsoever.
I mean, you get like practical effects that are good, and you get practical effects you go, that's terrible, I could do a better job than that. What kind of skill level are we at here? Because some people just like good gore.
It's practical effects where sometimes the blood looks a bit like coloured water.
Oh, okay.
There is a scene where they actually do kill one of the demons, and the blood is splurting out of the hole of where the head is just being chopped off, and it's just. So it's just like you get that hiss of the blood spurting out, like somebody has got a hose pipe and just splurting out some water from there. But not done in a comical effect, supposedly done in a more serious effect.
Okay, so on to Stalingrad, which is a Russian film about the whole thing of obviously set during the Stalingrad War, the Russian-Germany War, and the whole thing at Stalingrad, and it's it is a work of fiction though, set during the time, based on notes and journals and things of people that have been set at the time that have been discovered and read through, and has been put together to make up this film, which is centering around a group of Russian soldiers who are holding this sort of strategically important building in a sort of a square, and they're there sort of holding off. They are sort of the last line of defence against an encroaching army of German soldiers. There's this whole thing going on in there that there are some people living in the house, and in particular a young sort of teenage girl who lives in this house, who's not run away, she's not left it, she is there, and they kind of end up sort of striking up friendship with her and sort of protecting her while this is all going on, as well as we see at the same time on the side of the German army there is the actor Thomas Kretschmann, who is quite well known to sort of the Western cinema going audience, is in this too, as a German officer who is having a relationship with a Russian woman who he's basically sort of holding prisoner, and although he's trying to sort of look after her as well. and it goes back and forth between these two, while the two sides are then fighting over this building and trying to sort of move on in each of their own sort of steps and being taken in the war. The thing with it is that it's not a great film. It is one of the bigger films because it was a whole thing that it took a record-breaking amount at the Russian box office, and it's competently put together. It is in 3D, which the 3D is not too bad. It's obviously sort of got these moments where you have things that come flying out, but not really badly done. It's more for effect and sort of sequences where you have a camera panning along and things passing in front of the camera actually right in front of it. So it's that kind of thing. It's more environmental than it is for shock jump or anything like that. But the problem I had with it is that it's far too long and has these sequences in it which it really needs stripped down for time. It's 2 hours and 10 minutes long. Really needed to be a good 20-25 minutes shorter, especially with these sequences that open. And I get the whole thing of it saying obviously the correlation of disaster and the mess and things, but it starts off in Japan with the tsunami and people trapped in a building that and people come from all around the world, including this person who's German, and he finds this girl and these women trapped underneath the rubble of a building, and starts telling them about the story of his mother. And then it goes back to the whole thing at Stalingrad and these characters, and at the end it comes up to the end and comes back to that, and we get the end of that story, and that altogether could have been taken out of the film. I honestly I started watching it and I'm going, what has this got to do with this? And I really found it just badly done for that sequence, for that moment. The thing about it is that's good is that it looks incredible. It has got this whole thing. If you remember the film which is set during Stalingrad as well, the whole thing of Enemy at the Gates with Jude Law and Ed Harris. Do you remember that?
Yep.
Yeah. It has that whole look. There's that scene there where they're in sort of like a courtyard, and it's all kind of set around the same sort of thing like that. But obviously you've got bits with tanks and stuff coming through, and explosions and airdrops and stuff like that. And it looks really good. It's really good production level to it. But just that I really found that some of the stuff with the characters, while it's good, doesn't quite work. It needs trimming severely in some parts. I think there's some of the characters, some of the acting is not brilliant in it. But it's not bad. It's that whole thing of that it's got things that are really bad, it's got things that are really good. But I couldn't say that it's average, is the thing. It's okay, but it doesn't quite all meld together. So it's okay. I think a lot of people will avoid it because it is all in Russian and German. One thing I will say as well about it, which I don't know what it's like because I didn't see the cinema version, but it made me think of Inglourious Quentin Tarantino's film, and the whole thing of that in that you have people speaking both. Well, actually, at different points you have people speaking English, you have people speaking German, and you have people speaking French. In one scene in particular, you have people speaking German and French. In the cinema version, you had different colours for the subtitles, so you knew one was one language and one was the other, so it was different. In the DVD and Blu-ray of that, it's not. It's all in white subtitles. And the same thing is here with this. I'm pretty sure there's scenes in this where there are people speaking in both Russian and in German, and there's even the subtitles even say, I have no idea what you're saying, because of the fact that they don't speak each other's language. And that kind of gets a bit confusing because of the fact that it doesn't have a distinction between who is saying what in the subtitles. So that's another thing which I don't know, as I say, if that worked in cinema, if that's changed from the cinema to the home release, but it's something that I actually found really distracting, and I was kind of like, oh wait, who said that? Was it him or was it him? And that is another thing that threw me off. So it's not a complete failure. It is a film that's you got to obviously watch it in subtitles. There is an English language version on there as well, but don't bother, really. Why would you? And it's okay, but I was just disappointed.
Right, it's time for the shovelware title of the week. I think I've actually got both of them, the shovelware ones, and in this case it's Mr. Jones, and it's another one of those shaky camera found footage movies. Again, stop me if you've heard this before. It centres around a couple who moved to this house in the middle of nowhere. The girl, who's played by Sarah Jones, who plays Penny, she's fascinated by this recluse kind of artist known as Mr. Jones. and Mr. Jones creates these scarecrow-like things. And so they discover that this Mr. Jones guy actually lives not far from where they live. And the fact that he's still putting up these scarecrow things, and they could be worth a lot of money. So Penny splits off from her husband, who's Scott, who's played by John Foster, and he decides to investigate some talking heads people on the myth behind this Mr. Jones character, while she investigates him. And they discover really strange things regarding these scarecrows, and really strange things regarding this Mr. Jones character. Yeah, the thing with Mr. Jones is that the movie itself is all over the place. Reason being is because it tries to be a movie where it's weird. Its whole premise of the movie is being completely off the wall, very strange, very weird. You've got these talking head sections where you supposedly have these people who knows about this Mr. Jones character and who knows about his backstory and these scarecrow things that he's created. Yet you don't care. Because these scarecrow things just look like something like a 5-year-old's actually meshed together with a couple of sticks out in the garden and go, "Look, Daddy, look what I did." And that's all they look like. They're supposedly imbuing this really weird, strange presence, but you don't care. And then the other side of the thing is the Scott side of the story, and you don't care what actually happens with him. The fact that he discovers this effigy inside the basement of this Mr. Jones character. The more he digs down to it, the further he gets into the basement, he finds these caverns and stuff like that, and he finds this effigy, this sort of like baby kind of thing with candles for eyes, and you think to yourself, he's going to take that, isn't he? And strange things are going to happen. And yep, he takes it, and strange things happen, and you don't care. Because this film, you just don't care. It's weird for weird sakes, and it's not weird for interesting sakes. It's weird for just, please end. Because I just can't be bothered for sakes. The shaky cam stuff, it's been overused so many times with films. There's a film, I don't know when it's going to be released over here, called Afflicted, which actually uses it really well. But it's had its day a million years ago, to be honest. Before the Paranormal Activity films actually started, and this is just another I don't care movies.
Is that your phrase of the week? I don't care.
Yeah, they need to stick it on the poster or whatever. Monday Movie Show says, I don't care. So that's it for the new releases of this week. TV movies of the week.
I don't know if I might have one of the same ones you got, because you got two, so I'll do mine first if you don't mind. Shooter.
Nope.
No, it's the one with Mark Wahlberg, and it's by Anton Fuqua, who's a decent good action director. I really enjoyed this, and it's a good thriller, I thought. So, 9 p.m. Thursday, 26th on Film 4.
Yeah, my tour on Film 4. Because supposedly Film 4 has got a Fright Fest-esque kind of weekend. So a horror weekend of sorts. So I've chosen two films from it. And so on Saturday the 28th at 11:40, they're showing Troll Hunter. I love that film.
I knew you'd have that. I knew you would have that.
Yeah. There's another film which is getting shown around about the same time on ITV4, which I was going to go with, but I can't remember what it is.
Pass. I shall have a look.
And the other film of choice, so that's on Saturday the 28th at 11:40. It's a brilliant Norwegian sort of like found footage kind of film, but very well handled. And the other choice for me is I've actually touched upon this. Again, I didn't actually really realise this, but the two films that I've chosen have bled into the two reviews that I've done. And so my other choice is Evil Dead 2 on Film 4 on Sunday the 29th at 25 to 12. Million times better than Wither that I reviewed tonight. And so, yeah, those are my choices. Any luck with the film that's on Channel 4, ITV4?
I'm just trying to see if I can't find. No,
I think
the website's terrible, and you can't actually find a schedule.
Yeah, I think it's on around about the same time, 11 o'clock, something like that, on ITV4 on Saturday.
Their website only wants to give me the option to look back at things that I've missed, not forward at what's coming up.
Yep. So that's it for this week's show. Your movie of the week first, because mine's easy.
Well, Jersey Boys, mine's easy as well.
Yeah,
it's certainly not 3 Days to Kill.
Yeah, mine's The Fault in Our Stars. It's simple as that.
Which you cried at.
Yes, which I cried at more than once, twice as a matter of fact. Make sure you check out our website, mondaymovieshow.co.uk, where you'll actually discover stuff that you will not cry at, because the content on there is a bit lacking, to be honest. All it seems to be is the show post and the box office top 10s, which, by the way, if you've been on the site, there is no US box office top 10 this week because the fact that my internet connection was being a complete donkey yesterday, so I could not post it up. So I think it's a bit of a waste posting up now. But there isn't. It'll be back next week, so check out the website there. You can give us feedback in numerous ways. Email us, mondaymovieshow@yahoo.com, facebook.com/mondaymovieshow, or you can send us a tweet at mondaymovieshow. Andrew's at EHDVD, I'm at Cryptic Tadpole. During the show you heard an ad from Page to Screen, which is Stuart's sort of like mini empire which he's building up. He does a horror show, he does a British show, and I think he still does a standard ordinary show as well. And following the Nerd, followingthenerd.com. They didn't have a show Friday just gone, Thursday just gone. They're not on air this Thursday as well, because Mark is just terrible.
I think they did one on Sunday, didn't they?
No, that was the previous week. So that's the way they released their podcast. They release it a few days after they've done the show. So, there's no show this week. I need to shout at Mark for being very lazy in that case. And also check out the charity. I couldn't think of the word there. The charity that we support, which is severnfoundation.org.uk. Follow at Mondo on Twitter, and he'll give you all the details there. So we'll play you out with a clip, which we played last week. Last week was How to Train Your Dragon 2.
Yes, last week was a piece of music from How to Train Your Dragon 2. This week's Chef.
Yeah,
which is Jon Favreau's new comedy drama, which it looks very, very good. And it's out on Wednesday the 25th.
Yeah, which we should hopefully be reviewing on next week's show. We will be back next week again. Don't know whether it's going to be Sunday or Monday. It's one of the Tuesday. You can guarantee that it's either going to be Sunday or Monday. So just keep an eye out on the website, and the post will go up on Thursday to tell you when we'll be live on air. Sometime after 7:30. That's all I can say.
Yes.
So until next week, we'll play you out with this clip from Chef. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Carl, we're staying with the same menu, right?
Yeah, I have something really good planned for tonight. I'm going to let you say it's not sweetbreads.
Yeah,
You're going to be able to taste it.
That may be true, but we have the most reservations we've had on a work night since we opened. You realize that?
I know. I was on Twitter. I was promoting the restaurant. I was on Twitter.
Yeah, that's another thing. From now on, before you post anything online, I okay it. All right?
The whole reason everybody's here tonight is because I called out Ramsey and Michelle online, and they're all coming to watch me stick it in his ass.
Yeah, and you're going to Twitter an apology for calling the most respected critic in Los Angeles. And
I'm not going to apologize to that guy.
What do you mean you're not?
You see what he wrote about me?
I don't give a what he wrote about you. I don't care. You're a cook. You're a chef. This is what you've been cooking for years, and it works. And either you cook the menu that our customers have come to...
You want me to cook the same food?
The same exact...
The same food that he ripped apart? The same guy who's coming tonight?
The restaurant isn't filled with critics. It's filled with people that have been eating your food for the last 10 years. So now suddenly you're going to be an artist. Well, be an artist on your own time.
Listen to me.
No sweetbreads, no calves brains.
I'm not cooking sweetbreads. Listen to me. The kitchen is my domain. That was our deal.
I don't give a what the deal was. The deal is now changed. Either you stay or you go. It's up to you. End of discussion.